Hi guys, welcome back. Yes, this is yet another video on YouTube about the nitrogen cycle. Hopefully this one carries a bit more weight. I'm a microbiologist, that's what I do every day. I work with bacteria, so I know the inner workings of bacteria a little better than I would hazard a guess at most of the people that produce these videos. So sit back and we'll go from the first to the last stage of the nitrogen cycle that you can achieve in the aquarium. Okay, let's go. Okay guys, so we should probably start off with a bit of an introduction to what the nitrogen cycle is. It's the cycle by which nitrogen is, I guess, recycled. It happens every day in the environment. Nitrogen exists as a gas. It's one of the most abundant gases on the planet. And it's the basis, nitrogen-based compounds are the basis of amino acids, which form proteins, enzymes, those kind of things. They're crucial to life on Earth. So, it happens in our aquarium because we produce waste in our aquarium. We put food in, the fish eat that food, they then excrete ammonia from the gills, from the poo. As that breaks down, as the proteins that go into the water column break down, we produce ammonia, which is over here, hopefully. Ammonia is then converted to less harmful chemicals by a process of nitrification. And nitrification has two separate stages. So let's start with the first stage. Okay, for the first stage of nitrification, we take the ammonia that's been produced by the fish and we convert that to nitrite. So ammonia and nitrite. This process requires a lot of oxygen and it's done through bacteria. So there's two main species that we would focus on here. There's the Nitrosomonas species, in particular Nitrosomonas europaea. I've detailed the metabolism in a fact sheet. If you want to see exactly how this process works, leave me a comment below and I'll get that to you. The other is the Nitrococcus species. These aren't as well studied, but they are present and they do help in this process as well. So it requires a lot of oxygen, so things like a wet-dry trickle filter or a fluidized bed filter would be perfect for this, provided you're bubbling oxygen through that. You're going to get a good breakdown of ammonia into nitrite, which is slightly less harmful to your fish. Ammonia and nitrite can be utilised by plants as well as a food source. Okay, so the second stage of nitrification, we've got our nitrite and we want to convert that to nitrate. And again, this is a process done by bacteria. The Nitrobacter and Nitrospira species can do this. They're quite well documented in research papers. And this stage takes slightly longer, and for these bacteria to build up a good level in the filter, it's going to take a number of weeks. So the first stage isn't going to take that long to be able to utilise the ammonia and turn that into nitrite, but the conversion of nitrite to nitrate does take slightly longer. The reason we want this to happen inside a filter is, imagine that filter as a machine. So if you've got in the same place ammonia being broken down into nitrite and an organism that wants to use nitrite to turn it into nitrate, it's going to happen much more efficiently. So think of it as ammonia goes in and nitrate comes out. So that's the nitrification process, and that's where the nitrogen cycle in the aquarium usually finishes. So we get a buildup of nitrate, which is much less harmful to your fish. Anything up to about 30 ppm will be fine. You can maintain a good planted aquarium on 30 ppm of nitrate. We can take this one stage further and remove that nitrate from the aquarium altogether by another bacterial mediated process. We'll go on to that in the second half of this video. What I'd like to talk about now is how to improve your filtration and what other variables the filtration in your tank is dependent upon. the first thing you really want to address is the temperature that this takes place at. Generally, you want to be aiming around 30 degrees. That's, for the bacteria, that's kind of an optimum temperature for this process to take place at. That's not ideal because there's not many fish that are going to be happy at that temperature. Things like discus, maybe neons, probably some of your wild caught angels maybe, but generally those kind of temperatures you don't want to be getting that hot. So the cooler the temperature, the slower the reaction, which is why things like ponds have much more trouble with filtration. You get huge filters, huge turnovers, because this process is much slower, much less efficient at those cooler temperatures. I myself am running temperate aquariums at the minute, so this process does take a lot longer. It also takes longer to set up because the way bacteria multiply as they split in half. This process takes longer at cooler temperatures. So temperature is your first variable that's going to affect how quickly and efficiently you filter your aquarium. The second variable is pH. Most of the bacteria involved in these processes prefer alkali conditions, so that's anything above pH 7. They will survive in acidic conditions, but again this process is much less efficient. There's also a train of thought. Nitrite is less toxic in alkali conditions. I'm not going to go into that because that's not really part of this video. So anything above 7 is going to be more beneficial for your filter, but then most people prefer keeping acidic fish like your Amazon sort of species. So that's something to think about. It does help people that have Lake Malawi tanks, Lake Tanganyika tanks, the African lake cichlids, because you stock them quite densely and your filter's going to work more efficiently at that pH. So it does work for some parts of the hobby. So there's your two main variables. There's a number of other variables like competition from other bacteria. There's certain bacteria mediate a lot of processes in your aquarium. Things like the breakdown of organics, so things like the carbon cycle. Some of the bacteria are going to break down some of the organics there. They could outcompete some of your nitrogen cycle bacteria in the filter, so that's also something to think about when you're buying these bottled products. Some of them are snake oil, really, so if you are going to get them, some of them do work, some of them don't. Just do your research first, online, on decent forums, or just do it the old-fashioned way. Well, not the old-fashioned way, don't use fish. Use an ammonia source and do it yourself that way. So that's the nitrogen cycle, up to where most people can get it in the aquarium. Next we're going to look at denitrification, which is a slightly more interesting topic, and there's not as many videos on YouTube about it. So we'll have a look at that.